I've got two words for you: driving matters. Today we have the 2018 Mazda CX-9. This is the biggest Mazda that they make, and let me tell you what, driving still matters to Mazda, and they made this the driver's three-row SUV. A big thank you to Mazda for sending this to me today to review for you guys. Mazda's done a good job of blending luxury, practicality, and driving dynamics, and there's some new features for 2019 that you don't want to miss. Let's get started. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in for this Mazda CX-9 review. I'm excited to show you everything on the exterior here. So standard are full LED headlights and daytime running lights, and they look pretty nice. They do a really good job at night of lighting up the road. I've had no problems with that. And automatic high beams are actually available on the Sport base model and standard on the Touring model. And then adaptive front lighting system, which they will move in the direction that you're going and they swivel and you can visibly see that, is on the Grand Touring model. Give you a little closer look at those headlights there. And then one really cool thing about this grille, we do have the Signature trim level right here, which is the top dog, the most luxurious option from Mazda, is that you actually get LED lighting around the grille. And it looks pretty sweet at night. It really does. If you see one behind you in the rearview mirror, it looks really nice. And then to top things off with the lighting, you do get LED fog lights available on the Touring model and standard on the Grand Touring model. As most of you probably know, this is familiar design language from Mazda. I am a fan of it, especially these front ends. They do look pretty stylish, pretty luxurious looking. And one thing to note is that we also do have, as you can see right there, a parking sonar. We have parking sonars in the front and the rear. And this is the machine gray color. It's an optional color, it's a premium color. What do you guys think of it? Leave your thoughts down below, comment down below, let me know. Talking about wheels, they will range from 18 to 20 inch wheels and 20 inch on the GT and up. And you get 255 width tires on those. As for braking, in the front you'll get vented disc brakes, and in the back you get solid disc brakes for the rear brakes. And then these mirrors, we do have LED mirrors for 2018, or LED turn signals on the mirror. For 2018 there's no power folding or power dimming, but on 2019 for the Grand Touring model you will get power folding mirrors. And then one way to kind of distinguish whether you have a higher trim is the chrome trim, the chrome molding that you have there. That's on the Grand Touring and up. And then of course with an SUV on the Grand Touring and up, we do get those roof rails up there as well. And then as we move our way to the back of the Mazda, it does have a pretty big rear end. It kind of hangs over that back tire quite a ways. And this is actually pretty long for the segment. It's about 200 inches long. On this backside, we do have LED combination taillights, as you can see right there. And then a dual exhaust, which is standard on every single Mazda level. And then if you want to go off-roading, we do have the all-wheel drive, and that has 8.8 inches of ground clearance. Now let's go talk about safety real quick. Safety is a big deal in some of these new vehicles. Standard on every trim level is the Smart City brake support, as well as the blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert. And it does work pretty good. You can even see it in the heads-up display, which I will show you later. Available on the Sport model, the base model, and standard on the Touring model is smart brake support, lane departure warning with assist, radar cruise, full stop and go, rain sensing windshield wipers that do work very well. And then like I said, available on the Touring and standard on the Grand Touring are the front and rear parking sonars. And then one more thing that is new for 2019 out here is a retuned suspension. It's actually supposed to be smoother, quieter, more natural feeling, and they put more sound suppression in for thicker headliners and floor mats. Once you get to the cargo area, you'll have a manual tailgate on the base Sport, but a power tailgate on the Touring model. And there's a little touchpad under here. You can open it from the inside or with your key fob. And for the storage, you'll get 14.4 cubic feet behind the third row and 71.2 when all are folded down. So let me go ahead and fold this down. I have this disengaged already, but you pull this, then you can shove that seat forward out of the way. And you do get a really nice flat load floor there. I've got that second row folded down with just one of the levers back there. There's no way of doing it with like pushing a button or pulling a lever back here. It's all on the seats for both sides. But you do get a hook over there, another hook over there, a tie down on both sides just like that one, and actually both of those little side cubbies on that side and on the other side, both of those will move up out of the way. So you've got quite a bit of usable storage with that. And then right here, we can even lift this thing up and reveal some more underfloor storage there, and you can actually take this thing out if you really need to. And then right below that, we do actually have a spare tire. Go ahead and give you another look with the back seats folded down, and that other seat over there is split folding, so you just fold that down from the other side. This is a little bit smaller than some competitors, but still a pretty large functional space. On the touring model and up, Mazda will give you this key fob. It's the smart key system, just your basic key fob. It is slim and slender, and you can pull a physical key out of it. So the way their smart key system works is it's not the kind where you can actually slide your hand behind it. You push that to lock it and to unlock it, and the mirror will flash. And I just locked it, unlock it there. But the cool thing is you shut the door, and as you walk away, it'll lock, which is pretty nice. Once you get inside the Mazda CX-9, it's really not hard to get comfortable. So in the base sport model, you'll get cloth seats that are manual adjustable, but it is optional to get power seats with lumbar support that are heated. Then once you jump up to just the second trim, the Touring, you'll get leather seats. They're heated and power with lumbar support. So you don't even have to go up very high if you want to get leather seats. And then once you get to the Signature trim, you will get 2-position memory seats, and the 2-position knobs are on the actual seat down here. You get this Napa leather interior, and it's definitely nice. I really like the way these seats look. They have some pretty good bolstering on them. They could use a little bit more considering Mazda's, ambition to be a driver's car, but they're still pretty comfortable. They're a little bit firm for my taste, but overall, I really can't complain right here. I do have quite a bit of headroom. I do have this seat all the way down right now, and I can still put my fist above my head, even with the moonroof up there. But one big thing for 2019, but wait, there's more. You get ventilated seats. There's no ventilated seats in this 2018 model, but you can actually get those on 2019, so that's awesome. When it comes to the steering wheel is manual, tilt and telescoping. It does actually have a pretty good range of motion, so I've had no trouble with that. Hopping inside of the Mazda CX-9, you will find a lot of nice materials. So this isn't necessarily soft up here, but it does feel pretty nice. Same goes with this right here, but we do get actual aluminum trim pieces. This armrest is padded, but it is a little tough kind of to the touch. And then some rosewood right here. All automatic up and down windows, little mirror controls. A pretty big storage bin down here, and my large water bottle does actually fit. Shut the door. A nice solid door slam, and like I was saying, once you get in here, it does feel pretty luxurious. You get actual genuine aluminum and genuine rosewood. The rosewood is on just the Signature model and the aluminum on the Grand Touring model, but it's a pretty nice place to be. So starting out right over here, you can open up your trunk, you can do your lane departure, your traction control, parking sonar buttons right there. And then the steering wheel is a nice leather wrapped steering wheel. I do find it comfortable to hold on to, and the Signature actually gets you special stitching on it as well. On the GT, you will have a heated steering wheel. The button is right over here. But let's go ahead and start this up. Push the button right there. Taking a look at Mazda's gauge cluster, it's basic analog over here, that is digital over there. I'm not a big fan of that little digital area. You can see, the information that you need to, but I wish it was a little bit more detailed, a little bit more in depth. As you can see, there's not really a whole lot that's going on over there. But for 2019, Mazda says that there will be a 7-inch reconfigurable digital display, so I'm excited to see that. Like I said, the steering wheel is comfortable, and we do have voice controls, audio controls, controls for our information display up there, voice controls there. Radar cruise control, you can change your distance here, set it and resume it right there, and then control what mode you're in for your cruise there as well. And we do have auto rain sensing wipers, which do work pretty good. As we move across, we do have a pretty nice material across the dash here. Even on this upper dash, it is nice and soft. And going with this screen right here, this is actually a touch screen, even though it is up there. And we do have a control knob down by our shifter that I'll show you in just a second. But on the base Sport, you'll get a 7-inch screen. On this trim, or on any trim higher than the Sport, and this trim, you will get an 8-inch screen. It is pretty easy to use. The way we use it is actually, you can use it touching it, or you can use it with this control knob right here. And I do like how it has shortcuts with the music, home, navigation, back button, your favorites over there. Volume knob is right here. But let's say I can control it with this, just like that. You can go to your audio sources. And for 2018, we do not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but that is coming for 2019. So if you need that, if that's a must-have, wait for the 2019 models. And of course, Sirius XM, Pandora, Stitcher, Bluetooth. You do have an aux port, USBs. Then when we hit the home button, this is what we get. You can see your phone, your communication stuff, entertainment, music, applications. You can go to your fuel economy, a whole bunch of different things in here. And that is 21.2 is what I've been getting in my time with this vehicle, and that's with a fair amount of idling as well as some faster driving, things like that, trying to get a good feel for the vehicle. The navigation screen does look nice. It works, it's okay, but I just still prefer to use my phone or to use something like that. And once you get over to the settings, there is a lot of stuff that you can control, including your heads-up display, the display on here, safety systems of the vehicle, the sound. And by the way, we do have the optional Bose sound system, which sounds fantastic. That's a 12-speaker Bose system with a subwoofer. It's available on the Touring model and standard on the GT model. Otherwise, the Sport and the Touring standard will be a 6-speaker system. Let's go ahead and show you the backup camera here. So I shifted into reverse, and you do have the parking sonars up there, and you can actually get that out of the way or at it. So that is nice to see. This backup camera is pretty plain. So even if I turn the wheel, you still have static lines all the way on the Signature trim, and there's not even other options to view. I would like to see that. But the good news is for 2019, Mazda is giving us a 360 monitor. Enough with the screen, let's move down. Got a couple big vents right there. We got 3-tier heated seats on both sides, and our heated steering wheel button right there. And like I said, ventilated seats coming in 2019. We do have a 3-zone automatic climate control, and that is standard on every single trim level. I do like these little turn dials here. They do have an actual click to them. Everything is really easy to use. No problems with that. Down here is a bigger storage area. It is textured, so things will not slide around. There's no wireless charging there, but it holds your stuff pretty well. You do have a leather wrap shifter here, and you can shift it all the way back into drive and over to M to manual shift. There's no paddle shifters on the steering wheel, but if you use this, you can downshift going down a steep grade or just have some fun if you want. And then the Sport button right there, once you hit it into Sport, over by the gear indicator, it will show you Sport or not Sport. And then like I showed you this, we do have an electronic parking brake right here. There's no brake hold button, but I do like using this. It is very convenient. My only gripe is that once you actually have a water bottle or two, which it does have good sized bottle holders, it can kind of get in the way, especially if you have 2 bottles. You almost have to go over top of it, which can get annoying, but it's not as bad as it was in the Mazda 3 like I reviewed. Another thing is we do have this nice soft padding, which does feel pretty good if you put your knee on it. That's on both sides, and there's actually a 12-volt power outlet right over there as well. The center armrest is not my favorite. It is soft and it does feel nice. You do have the stitching on both sides, but I do like just the traditional up armrest. This you have to open up both sides. You don't have to open both sides, but it almost seems like you do, because otherwise you have to kind of look over, and then if this one's closed, it's just kind of finagling something out of there. But there are 2 USB ports, an auxiliary port, and an SD card. It is fairly small compared to other 3-row crossovers. Going over to the glove box, we do not have a lock-in glove box, but it's soft opening and it is lined. I would like to see a lock-in glove box. I think that should be standard in every vehicle, but this is a pretty good space and it's really soft. Nothing's going to rattle around in there. Pretty cool there. This lower part of the dash is hard plastic, but that's not a big deal because everything else is pretty nice. And then as we go up to these visors, you do have the vanity light and mirror. Vanity lights will not be on the base Sport model though. Then when we get that visor pulled out, this is our extension piece right here. The visor does not move itself. As for our mirror, we do have an auto dimming mirror with the garage link controls standard on the Touring model, and I believe that this will actually be a frameless auto dimming mirror in 2019. Every model does get sunglass holders, but I don't even have very big sunglasses, and I have to have mine one specific way in order for them to fit. Otherwise, bigger glasses probably will not fit in there. We do have controls for our moonroof, which is available on the Touring model and standard up from there. There's no panoramic moonroof, but just a normal size moonroof right here. And as you can see, a little light right there. We do have ambient lighting in this vehicle, and we have more ambient lighting the higher trim level that you get. And it is a pretty nice looking cabin. A lot of the lighting is kind of down by the door handle and the bottle holder wells, and it's a pretty nice, you know, ambient place to be. Go ahead and take a look at the visibility. When we turn around, we do have actually some pretty decent sized windows back there. That last window is a little bit small, but really it's not a bad place to be. In the third row, you can fold down or fold the headrest down. Alright, so hopping into the back seat of the Mazda CX-9, we actually do get some decent material up here on the top. It's not quite super soft, but it's not super hard plasticky either. You do still get a nice soft armrest with that stitching running across, good solid grab handle, and then a bottle holder down there, and a pretty deep compartment right here actually. So let's go ahead and take a look inside. We do still get the Napa leather back here. This is still a pretty nice place to be, and these seats do slide forward and backwards. They can even recline a little bit like that. Let's go ahead and hop in. One thing to keep in mind is that we do actually have the $2,000 rear entertainment option right there. Those are little 8-inch screens. Back here we do have heated seats. Actually, you do see the little heated seat function right there. The vehicle's not on, so it's not going to turn on, but the heated seats are actually on the GT trim. We do get rear air vents, and then on every trim, like I said before, we do have the 3-zone climate control, so you can control that back here. And even if you don't have this rear entertainment system like that, it does have the HDMI, USB, and the SD card plugins right there. Headphones on each side. And even if you don't have that, you will still get 2 fast charging USB ports on the touring trim and up. Another cool thing is we do get this sunshade, just this retractable sunshade. That is actually on both sides, and that is available on the touring but comes standard on the GT trim. So another neat thing is that on the touring trim and up, you actually get 2 seat back pockets on both sides, which is pretty cool. Otherwise on the sport you get just the one. So this is with the seat in its furthest back position, and I have this much room. There is a lot of space underneath of the seat, which is very appreciated for my feet. Now I got the seat scooted all the way up, and at 5'9", I can have my knees in this little concave area right here, but it's definitely pushing up against the seat. Otherwise, really shouldn't have any trouble for anybody shorter than me, and I do have plenty of headroom right here. Actually, I can put a few fingers above my head, and we do have a center folding armrest, which is nice and soft. This is still the same leather material. Lift this up out of the way for the remotes for our entertainment system, and a nice softly lined storage area, a couple more cup holders. Just a good place to be in the back seat. Alright, so getting into the third row, we can pull that lever down there, and that will engage or disengage the seat so you can push it forward. There's not as big of an opening as I would have hoped, as you can see right here, but you do have this little sill to step on. And then as we go back, oh, it's just a two-person seat back here, and that seat is all the way back in its track, and I can actually sit here with just a little bit of space in front of my knees. My feet are very tight under here, if you can see that. And then when I'm sitting up tall, my head is actually touching the roof. So a little tight for me. Anybody smaller than me should be fine back here. We do have a cup holder here and an extra little storage cubby right there. And then some small windows back here. There's no center folding armrest, as this is just 2 seats right here, but a functional, usable back seat. We even have a tie down right here if you have the seats folded down. And then getting out of here, I can push that and kick it up out of the way. Let's talk about the powertrain now. So for this Mazda CX-9, we do get a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's the Mazda Sky Active Technology engine, and that'll give us 227 horsepower with 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you feed it with premium fuel, I believe it was 93 octane, you'll get 250 horsepower out of it, but the torque number will stay the same. No matter what trim level you get, that's the engine that you get, and you get a 6-speed automatic transmission on every trim level with the manual sport mode, but no paddle shifters. The iActive all-wheel drive is available on every trim, but on the Signature it's standard. So there's no actual front-wheel drive here. It's all-wheel drive only. And then for your MPGs, with the front-wheel drive models, you will get 22 in the city and 28 on the highway. And all-wheel drive will be 20 in the city and 26 on the highway. The one downfall to this Mazda CX-9's powertrain is the towing. The towing is 3,500 pounds instead of about 5,000 pounds, which is what most of the competitors in this class will be able to tow. All right, we are on the test drive for the Mazda CX-9, and this is always my favorite part, as you know. So my first impression with this Mazda is that it feels very solid. You know, it feels like a good chassis. Everything feels solid and well built when you're driving, and it's a nice vehicle to drive. That is the strong suit of this thing. Let's see how it is going around this turn. I'm gonna get into it a little bit. And you can feel that it's a heavy vehicle, but still it handles really well for being such a large vehicle. This absolutely will out-handle and outperform other 3 rows in the class. You know, just the way that it feels. It may not be the fastest one with this 2.5 liter turbo, but it still has some pretty good get up and go. Now, just as important as that is the braking, and the brakes feel good. They feel linear. It's not too soft. It's not too tight. It's a good feeling brake. Let's go ahead and put it in sport mode here, and let's get on it. All right, so we got up to 60 there, and the 0 to 60 isn't necessarily the strong suit, but we're in sport mode. It's holding its RPMs. When you just give it some moderate acceleration, you get some pretty good pull. That's for sure. I think driving this in town is where you really get some of the benefit, because you don't have quite as much horsepower as the other 3 rows with the naturally aspirated engines. They'll be closer to 300 horsepower or more. But the torque, when you're just in town and you just want to get going, you just give it a little juice, and you feel all of that torque come out, no matter what fuel you put in. I'll put it in manual mode in a little bit, but I really do like this powertrain. The turbo and the 6-speed transmission feel responsive. I don't even care that it doesn't have a 7, an 8, or a 10-speed transmission. This feels good. It does a really good job giving you power no matter what gear you're in. Now, as I was saying, with the handling is excellent, and this does actually have Mazda's G-vectoring technology. So it's kind of a torque system, and it just for pretty much anybody who's driving, it will help you, feel better, feel more confident in your handling and in your turns. Now, talking about the ride is also just as good. Just on some smooth stuff, surprisingly, it actually feels maybe just a little bit stiff, and that kind of goes with this car feeling really solid. But I've hit some railroad tracks and some big bumps, and it's like you barely feel it. It's actually it just beeped at me told me to hold the steering wheel. But you really don't feel the stuff. It doesn't intrude into the cabin very much. It's comfortable. The ride and handling is just excellent. My favorite part of this vehicle is absolutely the driving part. Every aspect of it, the braking, the acceleration, the feel of it, just being in here, the cockpit feeling. I can sit a little lower. Everything seems to be in a good place for me. It's definitely built for the driver. And as I was saying, for 2019, they're actually retuning this suspension. Like I said, they're making it smoother, going to give it a more natural feel, and even some sound suppression on top of this. And this is already a pretty quiet vehicle. My decibel rating on the interstate was quiet, even on some rough roads. The road that we were first on when I started filming was a pretty rough road in terms of texture and a loud road, but it's definitely very quiet in here and easy to hold a conversation. When you want to compare it to some other 3 rows, I was just inside the Honda Pilot before this, and the Pilot, although it's even a little bit shorter by a few inches in terms of length, it's got more cargo space and it's got more 3rd row space. So that's the more practical option. Even the Highlander and the Traverse that I've been in, those also seem to have more cargo space. But none of them drive like this Mazda does, and none of them really give you that luxury feeling that you get with this car. So depending on what's important to you, you know, it's kind of a toss-up depending on what your options are. But if you really like to drive, and if that's important, if you like some of the features that come on here, then this is definitely worth a look. And I'm not saying that that's small back there, but it's not as big as those, even though it is a 3-row. You know, I didn't quite fit in there in terms of head space, but I could sit there with leg space at 5'9", and you know, you can still make this a practical vehicle and do just fine with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it into the manual mode. Automatically, we are in 4th gear. Let's downshift. There we go. Oh yes. 4th gear, 5th gear. All right, so you can have some fun, and it's pretty quick. This manual transmission, or the manual mode, is actually pretty responsive. But that is going to conclude this review. I thank you guys so much for watching. I want to know what you think of this car. Would you consider this for a 3-row SUV? I was giving you some of the negatives in terms of the space back there, but overall, this is definitely a good vehicle. You know, starting at the Sport, you can still option up for some nice features. In the Touring model, you really start to get into the value model. Even the Grand Touring, you can get some nice things on it. And just remember, for 2019, there are some good changes, including Apple CarPlay, ventilated seats, a 360 monitor on the screen. So, way to go, Mazda. Please give this video a thumbs up if you guys liked it. Let me know what you didn't like. Leave your comments down below. Please be sure to subscribe for videos every single week. Thank you again, and I will see you next time.